All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's conversation. Today, I'm having Mr. Kingsley here with me, and he's going to be talking to us or sharing his own story, his PwC story. He's going to be sharing with us how he made his way to PwC. Mr. Kingsley is my friend, and firstly, I want to thank him so much for giving us this honor, making out his time. He took time away from work anyway. He has some things on his table, but he took time away from it. He's currently aware that there are some people who are looking to join the organization because of the current recruitment. And I called him up to share his story. We have people who want to know how you did it in your own way to get your way to PwC. So Mr. Kingsley will be sharing his own story. So this is not the law. This is not anything out of the blue. This is no company secrets. This is just his own knowledge. This is his own experience. All right. So Mr. Kingsley, please let the people know you fully. Maybe just introduce yourself.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Richard, for this wonderful opportunity. Okay, Kingsley Uganda by name. I currently work with PwC as an audit associate. Prior to joining PwC, I've worked in a couple organizations. I first worked at Aripo Industries Limited as an extruder supervisor, after which I also worked at PwC Nigeria Limited as a procurement officer. I'm an engineering graduate. I graduated from the Federal University of Technology, reaching us. So that's a little about myself, right?
Okay. So that's good. So thanks so much for that introduction. Now, you just mentioned that you're an engineering graduate and then you're working in an accounting firm. Is that correct? Is it correct to call it an account?
Yeah,
right.
An accounting firm. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So what's the correlation? What made you interested to join PwC? Why not Shell, Chevron? Why PwC?
Well, like we all know, engineering is just like an edge, when you compare it to other professions, like, it gives you room for versatility, having to deal with numbers and, being logical. Audit.
Out of school that was it while you were in school or while you were out of school that you found out that engineering, that there was this perception about firms thinking engineers make better accountants or auditors? When did that happen?
It was after school. It was after school.
Okay, after school.
Yeah.
All right. So you're hearing him. If you're an engineering graduate and then the engineering companies are not coming, go and steal the job from the accountants.
Of course, now, of course. I mean, it's just like an edge that we have anytime, any day. Like we can easily fit in wherever we find ourselves.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
it for me.
Okay. So there's a thing about the big four, right? So the big four, why PwC in the big four? Or did you apply to all of them and then PwC was the one that gave you, or it was always PwC?
Well, I wouldn't say it was always PwC, because I think it was sometime in 2019, or when was that I first got to know about the big four. A friend of mine introduced me to what's it called then, KPMG, and he was like, okay, apply for the exam. And I didn't even know what auditing was basically about. So I think I applied and I started making little researches on what auditing was all about. That was when I got to know that okay, there's something called the big four, that encompasses these four firms and all that. So I think among the big four, it was KPMG first. I wrote the exam, and unfortunately, I didn't make it. Then I was a bit naive. I didn't know much about this firm, so it was KPMG. Then I think the next year, I wrote for PwC. I wrote for Deloitte. Um, I equally wrote for UI, but then none worked out. Like, yeah, it was very crazy. Like, none worked out.
I
Like,
can
yeah,
imagine.
it was that crazy. Okay, for PwC, I passed. Then there were about two test stages. I passed the first test, and okay, when I went on to write the second test, which was at the office there at GI, I didn't make it past that stage, so that was it for me. Then I had to wait for another year. Then I tried again, and then for this time it was just a test. Which was monitored like an online proctored test. So luckily for me, I scaled through the test stage, and then there was something called the OPQ, online personality questionnaires, where you have to answer behavioral questions. Questions that aligns with your personal core values and your behaviors as a person. So I also passed that stage, and then there was the final interview proper, and yeah. So I
Okay,
scaled through all the stages, and that was it.
we're going to
Yeah.
come to this. We're going to come to the stages, and you're going to
Okay.
give us your story well in that area. But while you were talking, you made mention of something. You said you were naive, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
know that a lot of people that will be watching this are people who are still looking to get their way in. Now, what were those things that now when you look back, you be like, oh boy, I would have done this thing differently. That thing you would have said, okay, you would have done differently.
Okay. I would say, okay, like exam and all that. So the sun and everything, it was crazy. I got exhausted at some point, and then when I got into the exam venue, there was this unnecessary tension. I was just tensed, and at some point it was as though I was fidgety. Like, for me, it was like a do or die. Like, when you're like, you have to get this right, but then
Mm.
under that condition. So I think I flopped. Even after the exam, I knew I flopped because I felt like I should have been calmer and utilize my time properly. Like, I was a bit sloppy and slow. So yeah.
Mm.
So at some point I
Wow.
was just praying, okay, I just hope I get caught, but I knew you get. So
You didn't do
that's the
well.
naivety for me. Unlike
Okay.
unlike this, I'll be like, why was I not calm? Like, just do this thing. I mean, you get.
Yeah.
But as at then,
How
it was
many
a bit
years did
crazy.
you chase PwC again? 2 or 3?
2 years, for 2 years,
2 years.
for two
And the
years.
second and it clicked in the second year.
Yeah, it clicked. And
So
funnily enough, in my second year, I did, it was, I was a bit nonchalant about it. Like, I didn't want to make it a do or die anymore, because in my first year when I didn't get in, like, it really got to me. Like, it got to me. At some point, it was crazy. Like, it got to me. I was really downcast. You understand?
mm,
So when I
you
applied in
had
the
to take
second
off
year,
your mind from it so
exactly,
that you don't
exactly.
get tensed.
Exactly. So in the
Okay.
second year, even when I applied, I was already working then. So to an extent, it wasn't a do or die. And even when I applied, I was a bit nonchalant. I remember when persons were called for the test.
Be one of those year again.
Exactly, yeah. So it was the next day, I just picked up my phone. Oh wow, I've been invited as well. And I didn't have to put in I wouldn't say I didn't put in much effort, but it wasn't like in my first year. I mean, in my first year, I had to spend like, 2 weeks going through the past questions and all that. But for this time, I had to do more of revisions, and, you know, I wouldn't say I put in as much effort as I did in my first year. You get. So I
Mm,
guess I actually had paved the path already in my first year. So it was relatively
yeah.
easier for me in my next year. It was relatively easier. Like,
I think that's where the idea of compounded effort comes in. I think, even while we're in school, that thing where you're being advised to like study before the exam period, so that during the exam period,
For the exam, yes.
It's not what you read during the exam period. It's something that you would have been compounding.
That really matters, yeah.
That
exactly. Exactly.
So
yeah,
I
because
think
when you prepare over time, it gets to become a part of you. Like, it's not like you are doing it for the first time. It's not novel. It's something you are actually used to, and then you tend to be calmer. Unlike when it's at the nick of time, you are tensed and you understand. So I feel like over time I had
and then you guys were the brain bugs then in engineering faculty. We'll be saying that everybody will say, we've not read. And then there were just some people who were taking things easy, but everybody was complaining, we've not read. But then there was this compounded knowledge that makes things differently during the exam period. Okay, that's nice. So for you, in the first year and the second year, the whole application process, was it just go on their website, put in your application with your CV? That's all it takes for the application. Was there any other thing for the application?
No, there wasn't. Just get the application link, apply using your CV, your degree result, NYSC, O level, and national identification number. And I mean, yeah, it's a bit straightforward. I mean, it's not complex.
In the first year, what did you apply for?
What I applied for, it was still the same thing applied, yeah. Auditor and assurance and tax, actually. Assurance and tax. They are usually together. So it's at some point that you now have to, declare your interest. But during the application, they are usually together, audit, assurance and tax. Yeah. So that was the position I applied for in both years.
Okay. That makes sense now. So for the second year,
there's also advisory, but then for advisory, you have to have at least a year experience on similar role. Yeah. So that's for advisory. Yeah.
Okay.
So usually for persons who don't have experience, their best bet is assurance and tax.
Okay. So for the second year, your interview process, how many steps were there? How many?
It was just an interview actually, but then
just one interview.
Yeah, just one interview, but then it's
any tests?
Test. Yeah, there was actually a test now. Like you write an exam. Yeah.
Okay, then before the interview.
No, there's a test. After the test, then there's an online personality questionnaire. I made mention earlier where it's more like a behavioral question. Like you are asked questions based on your personality actually. So you have to give responses that actually pertains to you. So that's for the second stage. That's after the test.
Okay. So in your second test, what apart from reading differently, like and not getting yourself tense, maybe preparing yourself better on time so that you don't get lost So during the going for the test, I know usually the test have to do with some verbal reasoning, mathematics, and something, right? So you said you got past questions, is that correct? And then you studied with past questions. Okay. Was there any other preparatory processes you took? Did you have a coach? Did anybody?
I wouldn't say I had a coach. I wouldn't say I had a coach for the test. You get what happened was is at some point when in my first year I had to purchase a past question with a friend. I and a friend we purchased a past question from test streams or so, one online vendor for test questions. So that was it. And then when I would say I had a coach was in my second year when I got to the final interview. So I had to meet a friend that currently worked with PwC at the time. You understand?
Okay.
Because I had met him online on Ireland the previous year. You get one of those times I would go to PwC Trade on Ireland to read and get myself abreast with current happenings and all that. So that was where I got his contact from. So when I got to the final interview stage, I spoke with him and he was like, okay, he was going to have an interview session with me, more like a mock, you get.
Okay.
So yeah, we fixed a date and he actually prepared me for my interview. Yeah, we had a mock session and it was very, very engaging and it was great. So that was it. And then another friend of mine prepared me as well. So I had like 2 mock sessions. Yeah.
2 mock
Yeah.
sessions.
Yeah,
Okay.
with a senior colleague currently and another friend of mine who was also an applicant at the time. But luckily for
Oh,
us, we both got the offer. Yeah.
wow.
So yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations once again.
Yeah. So it was more like he prepared me for my mock, and when it was time for his, I prepared him as well. And I think the whole effort paid off because we both got into the firm. So that was it. So
Okay.
I would say that was the time I got something like a coach. You get, yeah. But
In your
prior to
mock
that,
exam, in your
yeah,
mock or your coaching process,
yes,
what did you learn differently? What were those things that during, you said it's engaging and you learned a lot. So what
yes,
did you find out at the point that, wait, if I had done this on my own, like if this colleague was not helping me out, both the coaching from your colleague,
yes,
your current colleague, and then the senior one, right?
yes.
So what were those things that you found out that, or you learned differently that you didn't know?
Okay, okay. That's an interesting one because I remember when I had my first mock session with that friend of mine. I think okay after the session I was like, okay, can you give me your feedback and all? He rated me. He was like 5/10. I was like, wow, why 5? So and then he started, um stating corrections and all that. So he told me, there's something they call what's it called? It's not behavioral questions, case study questions, like scenario-based questions. Yeah, scenario-based questions. So he was like, when I'm asked scenario-based questions, that I should just sort of go straight to the point. I shouldn't go into details, for the sake of time, unless my interviewer says I should buttress on the fact of something. So that was one major correction I noted then. And then there was also something that happened with the second person that prepared me for my mock. There was this question he asked, what are your weaknesses? And the response I gave, he was like, bro, no, like no. You can't go and tell them this, you understand? And at that point I was like, wow. And deep down I felt like, wow, I was actually prepared for this, but it was looking like I was flopping at the time. And I was like, what if this was my real
Real
interview? Like,
interview.
what would have
Yeah.
happened? So that was when I got to understand that okay, there were a lot of corrections, and in fact, it got so bad that my morale was so low. Like I had to go back to this senior colleague of mine I was talking about previously. I was like,
Okay. Yeah.
bro, what's up? Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not ready. And he was like, what's happening now? We already had a mock session. You did it. I was like, I feel like, he had to start encouraging me again and all that. And you get so I think the mock section, prior to that time, I was like, what's even the essence of the mock? Like, let me just do this. You'd be like, oh, be
I
Joe.
know it.
You
Yeah.
understand? At that point, you're like, interview. But then when I went through those sessions, I
It made a
discovered and
difference.
realized, yeah, the importance, like it made the difference. And I think that was like the difference for me. So
Well, I'm happy you're one person that is coming out to really express yourself and see how important, because there's one misconception, especially with us in this part of the world, you get, So sometimes
Yeah.
when you tell people that the interviews are not just something you get into, a lot of people get brutalized in their first interview, and then they carry that pain from the bad
Yes,
experience for 3 months,
exactly.
six, fresh
Exactly.
graduate just going, and then they dissect you with questions and you don't even know where to approach it from.
Exactly. And
But then when you talk about interview coaching and the importance, so a lot of people
important.
just think it's one thing for people to take money from you and all that. But
Yes, yes,
it's
yes, exactly.
but it's good. I did have a section with a lady who was applying for a real estate company, a very
Oh,
competitive real estate company. Yeah. And then initially she was being like, she's just doing it just for doing sake. But then after the first session, she was literally shaking. We're not
wow.
even live, we're not talking live, but then you could see that she was struggling to make good answers. Yes, she
Answers.
knows what she wants to say, but then you see, so she also had her own revelation, and then she knew that this was something
She had to work
different
on. Yeah.
she had to work on. And then so it's interesting. It's interesting. All right. Did they ever ask you why you picked PwC, or why you want to work for PwC?
Can I remember? Ah, I really cannot remember, but I know for sure I was asked, why I wanted assurance or audit. Well, I can't remember whether
What
I
was
was
your
asked
what was
why.
your answer? Can't remember
I
your
told
answer.
I told them he had a lot to do with my personal interest and my my background, reading engineering, like has a lot in common with auditing. I mean, you have to deal with numbers, you have to be very meticulous, you
Mm,
have to be very logical. So I had to tell them, the relationship between um my foundation and
okay.
what I'm actually coming into. So yeah, that was it
Okay.
basically.
So after that interview process, how long did it take to get back to you?
After the final interview, I think it took about a month or more, because the
Mm,
interview comes on daily basis. There's like a time schedule for it. I
okay.
they having next week. You understand? So I think generally it's spanned for about a month or thereabout. So I think after the interview officially ended, it took about a month or thereabout before we got our success mails and all that, and offer letters.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. But then the other stages of recruitment are usually very fast and rapid. I mean, after the end of applications, it could be just less than a week. You've been sent invite links to take the test. After the test, a week or thereabout, you are told to complete the online personality questionnaire. And after like 10 days, you are told to prepare for the interview. So the process is pretty fast, you understand? So
mm.
I think it's after your final stage, then they have to make put their logistics in place and all that before they call successful applicants for their offers and all that. So that's it basically.
After your interview, how confident were you that you gave it a good shot
The
on a
truth is
scale
that
of 1 to 100?
yeah, the truth is that usually when it comes to interviews, I'm not good with interviews, you understand? Yeah.
Oh,
Anytime any day, I usually prefer aptitude tests and all that to interviews. You get, but then I knew for this particular one, I knew what it meant for me. Like, so I really did not leave any stone unturned. I had to give my best shot. Understand? I
mm,
knew as at then I met a couple persons, you get, who were even in PwC from Maryland, anywhere. Okay, I'm having this interview. You get, what should be the do's and the don'ts? You get, do you have questions with which I should prepare? How was your own experience? You get, so I met a couple people then. Remember, there was this person I met. She had to give me a past question that had like over 80 interview questions you can imagine, and I had to deal with those questions one after the other. You get, so I
Do you
knew
still have those past questions?
I should.
Can you share it with us so that I will compile them and then attach a link where they can download and use to prepare for theirs?
Of course, it's fine by me. I'll do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
I'll do
great.
well to send
Thank
it
you.
across to you. Yeah. So that was
Okay.
it basically for me. So when I had my interview, deep down I knew I did well. Like there was this conviction that okay, yeah, I would most likely get the offer. You understand? But then it wasn't a certainty, but I was self-satisfied. Like, okay.
That you gave it your all.
Another point, I felt like I had given my all, and if it doesn't come, then I wouldn't have myself to blame. It's a different thing when you
Okay.
fail and you know that okay, you could have done better. And
Better, yeah.
when you know that okay, man, I gave my best shot and it didn't work out, we move. You understand? But
Yeah,
at that
I
point,
get that.
I knew I had given my best shot, so I could only have hoped for the best, and yeah, so
Okay,
that was it,
okay.
basically.
That's so interesting. So these people, from the way you speak now and the things you've explained, I
Yeah,
just feel that the one thing that was taken away from your first process and your second process was that fear,
that
right?
fear,
Because
exactly. That fear,
initially you said you were nonchalant, but then
exactly.
if you observe from the things you've said, you were not
Yeah,
actually nonchalant. You just told me how you did up to 4 different mock interviews, right? Back and forth,
yeah,
4 times. That can
yeah.
be nonchalant.
No, but what I mean. Why doing those things? Why doing those things? Like
You were
deep
relaxed.
down, exactly.
You
Deep
were
down, it wasn't.
relaxed.
In my first year, it was like a do or die. Like there was this pressure on me, like you need to get this done. But then after the experience I had in the first year, like at every stage I get on to in the second year, like I'm like, just be open-minded, right? You've gotten this far, but then it doesn't mean you would get the offer. So be open-minded so that this thing doesn't get to you if things go the other way. So that was it for
Yeah.
me. I feel like that was why I used that word nonchalant. So it's not like maybe I didn't prepare or something. You get, and then at some point, the closer I get, the more interested I became. Like, okay, we are closer. Try to be more serious. You understand? So that
Yeah.
was it for me. I didn't want it to get to me if or should things not go as planned. You understand? I
Okay.
didn't want it to get to me anymore. Yeah. So that's
Okay.
it.
So congratulations, you made it to PwC. How has work life been in PwC? What has helped you succeed in your first 30 days, 60 days at PwC? How is the work? How is the work atmosphere? So that people who are coming, let them get excited to come and join you.
No, the
How
truth
is
is that
work?
the truth is that yeah, it's a great place to be. Yeah, it's a great place to be. I mean, you have it avails you this platform and opportunity to learn. I mean, on a daily basis, every day there's something new to be learned. You understand? Like you have to learn, a continuous learning process, and sometimes it can even be overwhelming. I mean, you have a lot to learn and it becomes overwhelming. You understand? So for sure, you have a lot to learn. I mean, there's a guarantee that okay, I would learn, I would grow. There's that conducive learning environment. I mean, you have excellent colleagues who are willing to, put you through whatever it is. I mean, they want to walk you through the process of whatsoever. So for
Mm,
me, personally, it's a great place to be, and it's been an exciting experience so far. Like it's been very, very exciting and informative. Yeah. So
okay.
basically, yeah. I mean, anyone that wants to join PwC has a lot. I mean, a lot to gain, and yeah.
Okay. So personally, you're somebody who have benefited from networking, right? Networking with people you said are from Nairaland. You've networked with colleagues, you met,
Yeah.
you get in your process, right?
Yeah.
So generally, what advice would you give to people who are applying now for their application process, their interview process, and what's your general advice? Because we're about closing this now.
Okay. Okay. Personally, I would say, I mean, I applied a method that actually worked for me. So I would actually recommend and advise that they do so. I mean, I think I checked Netherlands some days ago. There is currently an application thread for PwC for this year. So I would advise, if they have applied for the job, they can they can join the trade on Ireland,
Mm,
you understand, and keep themselves abreast with the current happenings. I mean, you get to stay updated and informed. So it's not all
okay.
about you just getting how would I say it? They have their own I wouldn't say secrets, like, you know, they all have methods which one should
Mm,
apply, you understand, to get these things right. So they should go on to Ireland, join the year's trade. They should also go as far back as 2018, 2019, 2021, you know, and find out
yeah.
what happened in those threads, you get. I know back then there were times I spent over 4 hours going through just threads, like reading comments from when they started the applications to when they, got to the final stages, got their offer letters and all that. So you could go and get those informations. They would find them handy. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So that is that also. And there's a way they can meet the people or two who are currently in the firm, to give them heads up as well. That also would do. And then I know there are also WhatsApp groups. I mean, I joined a lot of WhatsApp job groups and all that. So if they can as well join those groups, I mean, it might not actually be PwC. I mean, you get, there are other reputable firms out there. So you get, everybody must not join PwC. So they will get
Exactly.
information about PwC and other firms as well. You get, so
Okay.
I feel like those are the little things they can actually, and then past questions. They should do well to, you know, study questions, get
Mm,
prepared for the test, go online, go on YouTube, watch interview videos, interview etiquettes and all that. So I feel like those are the basic tips they need, and
okay.
then yeah, they will not be much afraid.
Fantastic. That's nice. Thank you so much, Kingsley. Thank you for taking out the time to share your experience. I know this is going to help a lot of. This is going to help thousands and thousands of people. You are somebody who has been opportune to um, enjoy the privilege of being helped by people who have gone ahead of you. And I'm thanking you so much for also taking our time to put this out there so that people who are coming after you would also learn. And then that's the road to greatness. More heights,
Exactly.
bigger deals, promotions coming, and
Thank
all the
you.
best in your PwC journey.
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Richard. Yeah, my
Okay. All
pleasure.
right. Thank you so much. All right, guys. So that's all we have for today. Thank you for taking out the time to watch this video. We hope to bring you more exciting videos that covers your areas of interest. And then if you did like this video, do well to like, comment, share this with people who would find this helpful. All the best in your application. Bye.